Hey everybody, Enkai here, and welcome to the beginning of a new series and my very first video on this channel. This series is going to showcase my first real playthrough of ARK Survival Ascended. Now I played a fair amount of ARK Survival Evolved, so I'm pretty excited to discover what's new and different with this version of the game. Now with all that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into it. Starting off in the character creator, I whipped up what can only be described as the peak male life form, skipped past the intro cutscene, and selected my spawn on the southern tip of the island before waking up on the beach butt naked and dirt poor. Now going into this with no plan, I figured the best place to start would be beating up the local plant life and making myself a basic set of tools. Now armed with a primitive pickaxe and all the testosterone of an 8-month-old field mouse, I began to smack a tree for some more resources. However, this plan was quickly interrupted when a Dilophosaur thought shit was sweet and tried to press me. Realizing I lacked the resources to make a proper weapon, I decided to make like Steve and Minecraft this dino. Unfortunately for me, however, this dino didn't come alone, and together with his friend, they quickly turned me into shredded chicken. Now I happen to know when I'm not welcome, so instead of returning for my measly resources, I decided to spawn in a new area of the map a bit west of where I was previously. After taking a minute to look around and scratch my ass, I returned to my routine of pounding Mother Nature's face in for my own personal gain. Upon reaching level 3, I learned the engram for the campfire as well as cloth jays and a do-rag before crafting myself another pickaxe and a cloth hat. Realizing I needed flint, I went back down to the water to violate some river rocks before crafting up a stone hatchet. Crafting the hatchet gave me the bump I needed to reach level 4, where I learned the engrams for the storage box and thatch foundations in preparation for a future base build. Running over to some nearby bushes, I scooped up the fiber I would need to craft myself a spear and get some proper defense set up. Once I was just nearly as armed and dangerous as Kevin from Home Alone, I gathered up just a few more basic resources before coming across a dodo walking through my hood and promptly lobotomizing it for having the balls to do so. A bit farther up the beach, I realized the dodo was never in my hood and that I was actually in his, but seeing as word is bond and I couldn't leave any witnesses, I quickly put his homies to the spear and harvested them up for some easy hide. Sliding on the dodo birds gave me all the XP I needed to reach level 5, where I decided to learn the engrams for cloth pants and a cloth shirt to protect my junk and nips from the cold sea breeze. I also finally crafted up some cloth shoes to keep my piggies warm. Using the rest of my fiber, I crafted a set of cloth gloves to finally be fully clothed. And before you ask, yes, it's all Gucci. Finally somewhat happy with my gear, I began to make my way inland, making sure to grab all the fiber and berries I could along the way. Along my path, I found the last few members of the dodo crew and made quick work of them with a combination of my pokey stick and axe. At this point, I had also reached level 7, where I unlocked the engram for the mortar and pestle as well as the spyglass. Down near the end of the beach, I happened to spot a blue drop, although I quickly learned two things. You have to be level 25 to open a blue drop, and the silence fish are too damn big. Moving on past the supply drop, I continued my journey inland, stopping along the way to gather whatever resources I could. Along the way, I spotted what I thought could be a decent spot to set up camp, although I quickly realized that was the dumbest idea ever formed by a human being and kept it moving. After a bit more running, I found the spot I actually wanted to settle down in, and like the true American I am, I told the natives to kick it before marking my territory. After clearing roughly 7 freedoms worth of trees, I managed to make it to level 9, where I learned the engram for the bola and looked to see when I unlocked the raptor saddle, although that was still almost 10 levels away. Crafting up a few more foundations, I slapped down a thatched platform of which to call my home, although it has about as much feng shui as a Waffle House bathroom after midnight. Crafting up another bola gave me the rest of the XP I needed to reach level 10, where I learned the engram for a simple bed so I could stop sleeping on the ground and waking up with severe back pain and rocks in my ass crack. After placing my bed at an angle to allow proper chakra flow or whatever else bullshit makes you happy, I took a moment to admire my surroundings and gaze at the dinosaurs. Does anybody else feel like this would make a perfect spot for a Walmart? Realizing I was hungrier than an old man in a college girl's DMs, I began shoveling as many berries as I could into my gullet before accidentally eating the fucking evil berry that dehydrates you. Seriously, why is this thing in the game? Running down to the nearby pond, I chugged a healthy helping of some perfectly safe pond water, still better than Dasani though. I was stopped only momentarily when a massive snake crossed my path, however the conveniently placed plot armor rock stopped it from being any real threat to me. Reaching level 11, I decided to learn the engrams for some basic wood structures that I would use here shortly to build a proper home. While out gathering resources, I noticed another snake was hanging out in the woods nearby my house. Channeling my inner samurai, I challenged the snake to an honorable duel. However, it's well known that snakes have no honor, it put me to sleep and ate me alive. After respawning, I ran over to grab my stuff before deciding I wasn't done beefing with the snake. Unfortunately for me, however, the snake decided it was done beefing with me, and once again put me to sleep and ate me. After once again grabbing my stuff, I figured the snake had made its point, so I returned home to continue gathering resources and smacking dinos. Chopping a few trees gave me enough XP to reach level 13, where I learned the engrams for cementing paste and some tribal war drums, as well as the last of the wooden structures I would need for my base. While out continuing to farm resources, I was jumped by yet another snake. These things really do get on my nerves, but luckily my mic was muted so you guys didn't have to sit through my angry yelling. Upon respawning, the snake immediately tried to once again slime me out, but with a combination of quick thinking and sheer panic, I led it to a nearby trike who proceeded to stomp the snake into the ground. Honestly, big ups to this trike, as I was one snake bite away from enlisting in the US Armed Forces. Once I was finally done gathering enough wood to put a frat house to shame, I replaced the thatched foundations of my house with wooden ones. I also began the process of putting some proper walls on my base, seeing as the open concept design wasn't working out for me too well. After once again decimating a forest or 3, I had the base in a state I was comfortable enough with for the time being. It's a simple 2x6 box with roof access and some basic amenities like a bed and storage boxes. Just outside of my newly built house, I spotted a solid level parasaur and decided to tame it up. Let me tell you though, this was one tough ass parasaur. It took almost 5 minutes of slingshotting and 3 bolas before it went down. While waiting on the parasaur to tame up, I took a second to learn the engrams for metal tools as I was fairly tired of using the dogshit primitive ones that broke every 3 uses. With just a bit more standing around and farming resources, the parasaur tamed, and I gave it the name Goob after my girlfriend's cat. With some leftover engram points from the last few levels, I learned the engram for spark powder as well as the parasaur saddle so I could ride Goob into battle. Back at base, I crafted up a refining forge and placed it on the roof so I could begin smelting up some of the metal I had gathered from nearby rocks. This was also when I learned Goob has separation anxiety, as he attempted to quite literally follow me up the stairs. I then took a short trip to the beach as the smooth rocks that spawn along the coast seem to give a lot more metal than the boulders that spawn around my base in the forest. It also makes for a nice change of pace to get some sand between your toes instead of the usual piles of triceratops shit. Once I was satisfied with the amount of metal I had gathered, I began making the trip back up the beach and into the forest where my base was. After I had made it back home, I decided to finally saddle up Goob and take him out to gather some berries. While gathering berries, though, I spotted what I thought would make a very worthy opponent for Goob to prove his mettle against, a wild Dilophosaur. Just as we all knew he would, Goob easily defeated the nefarious Dilophosaur, as if he were Anakin Skywalker and the Dilophosaur were a youngling. Dismounting Goob for the time being, I placed all the metal I had gathered into the refining forge to smelt into ingots, and seeing as I forgot to mention it earlier, this was all done for the purpose of crafting up a smithy and some proper metal tools. While waiting for the metal to smelt down, I crafted a wooden pillar in the hopes I could make my base look slightly less like utter cow shit. It didn't work, but seeing as I'm the only person on this island, I couldn't exactly hire a contractor to fix it for me. While trying to craft a second pillar, I accidentally crafted another hide hat. I couldn't cancel the crafting, and seeing as there isn't a Salvation Army nearby, it got discarded immediately. After gathering the rest of the resources I needed to craft it, I finally got myself a smithy and placed it down inside my base. After putting the necessary items in the smithy's inventory, I crafted myself a metal pick and a metal hatchet so that gathering resources in the future would be just slightly less torturous. Initially, I wanted to make a pike as well to complete my set of metal equipment, but seeing that it would require another metal run and I was short on time, I figured that would have to wait for another episode. Now speaking of being short on time because I had to go to work, that's where I decided to finish recording for this episode. If you did manage to make it this far into the video, I would like to give you a very heartfelt thank you, and if you found this video at least somewhat bearable to watch, a like, comment, or clicking that subscribe button would be very greatly appreciated. I do apologize for this first episode being fairly short. In the future, I would like to make them a little longer if time allows. That being said, I had a very fun time making this video, and I hope you guys had an equally fun, or at least not horrible, time watching it, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Goodbye!